The peace plan is really cautious. There's a lack of trust between the global community and the Palestinians. They are hoping for a change and for peace. But the devastation is still there and little change is in action. We tell you more in this report.
It's being described as the most significant breakthrough in months. A new phased-out ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, backed by the US, has entered its first phase. On October 9th, Israel's cabinet approved the US-brokered plan, paving the way for a suspension of hostilities across the Gaza Strip. Israeli troops have pulled back to agreed-upon deployment lines. The move is part of the initial steps agreed to in Egypt, where Phase 1 of the deal was officially agreed upon with mediation from the US, Egypt, Qatar and Turkey. Under the terms made public, fighting is set to halt within 24 hours of the approval. Hamas is required to release all remaining living hostages within 72 hours in exchange for Israel freeing Palestinian prisoners and partial withdrawal. As a delicate ceasefire unfolds, humanitarian agencies are racing to scale up operations. The UN prepares to reach more than 2 million civilians with food and medical supplies, among other requirements. Aid groups say even the most carefully drafted deal can unravel if checkpoints and supply lines remain choked. The US has also confirmed a small troop deployment of 200 inside Gaza, not for combat, but to coordinate humanitarian and monitoring efforts during the truce. The ceasefire is taking hold for now, but its future is uncertain. Major fault lines are already visible, which could potentially derail the peace process ahead. The first sticking point is the hostage-prisoner exchange itself. Hamas is demanding the release of high-profile Palestinian prisoners, including Marwan Barghouti, a demand Israel continues to resist. The group has also demanded the bodies of Sinwar brothers killed by Israel earlier this year. Then there's the question of withdrawal. Israel wants to maintain security control over strategic corridors and buffer zones. Hamas, on the other hand, insists on a full and unconditional pullout. Another core dispute is Hamas disarmament. Israel and its allies want Hamas to give up its military infrastructure as part of any permanent deal. Hamas argues it cannot disarm without political guarantees, fearing it would be left vulnerable. For now, Hamas leaders say that US has guaranteed an indefinite end to the war in Gaza, but its own future is unknown. The biggest contention is of governance. Who runs Gaza after the war is truly over. Israel wants to keep Hamas out of power. Hamas refuses to hand over control without securing its political goals and Palestinian presence. Mediators have floated options, including transitional international oversight, but there is resistance against a West-led panel with no serious Palestinian say. Nothing is locked in. And at the heart of it all is the question of guarantees. Who enforces this ceasefire if it's breached? How will global community ensure that Israel will not resume carpet bombing once all hostages will be back home? For many watching this unfold, the script feels painfully familiar. Earlier this year, in January, a similar ceasefire agreement was struck. It too began with a phased truce, hostage and prisoner exchanges, and promised Israeli withdrawals. But by mid-March, the deal had collapsed under the weight of broken promises and mistrust. Back then, Israel delayed prisoner releases. Hamas halted hostage handovers. Israeli forces never fully withdrew from key corridors. aid remained bottlenecked, and in mid-March, Israeli strikes effectively ended the truce. Those same fault lines, hostages, withdrawals, disarmament, governance, aid and enforcement are again at the center of this new deal. What's different this time, negotiators say, is a heavier international presence and stronger monitoring mechanisms. But history has always told a different story. After repeated failures by the global community, will their oversight be enough to hold this truce now